Blake Snell went from winning the Cy Young to becoming the pitcher that no one wants all in the same year. Statistically, he was the best player in baseball last year when it came to pitching, and he was playing on a losing Padres team, yet he was putting up such great numbers. But there was one thing that stood out in his season more than anything, and that was, yeah, he might have had the best ERA, but he also led MLB in walks. He walked players more than anyone. He had 99 walks last season, and the closest player to him was Michael Kopech at 91. Blake Snell was an outlier in that category completely, but he put it all together as a whole season, and that's what you gotta commend him for. He has one of the best pitch mixes in the league with a top fastball and a top curveball, and last season exemplified that completely, but his season was not totally pretty. In fact, the beginning of this year was the worst that Blake Snell has ever been. He had a 5.48 ERA for the first 2 months, and he just sucked. It's that plain and simple. But after March and April, he became a completely new man. I mean, from May 25th to the end of the season, he had a 1.20 ERA. We have never seen a player lead the league in walks and somehow get the best ERA in baseball. So the question becomes, why does no one want him, and what is it about Blake Snell that people don't like? To put it simply, people think that his walks are going to be turning into a big issue next year, and when players are getting on over his head, but this season, he had the mentality of let's not worry about balls that we throw. Let's just pitch good and not give up runs. That's exactly what he did, and it was at a very high level. Emotions completely control Blake Snell.
How the heck am I 82 gold? What kind of crap is that? 82 gold? Bro, the disrespect.
Okay, not the video game emotions, but his pitching emotions, you get what I mean. Going into free agency, we thought that his market was going to be big. We thought for sure that he would be getting a ridiculous amount of money, but his market just hasn't been there. Based on reports from John Heyman, the Dodgers have displayed interest in every starting pitcher outside of Blake Snell. The guy just won a Cy Young, and they don't want him. When the Dodgers don't want you, and of course we know how much money that they spend, when the Dodgers don't want you, you know that it is a problem, and you know that your market is struggling. This is because Snell is in arguably the toughest free agent market that we've seen in a very long time, and specifically pitching. It is filled with pitching from top to bottom. Yamamoto's only 25 years old and he has a really high ceiling. With Yamamoto being that young, they say, all right, well, why don't we just go ahead and pay the guy who has more years left in his prime? Why go ahead and pay the guy who's likely going to be heading out of his prime with Blake Snell? That's the way that they look at that. And then Jordan Montgomery, right? He just pitched the postseason of his life, so that automatically drives up that salary a good bit. Plus, he had a good season with the Rangers, and people are just all over him. Those two guys are getting a lot more interest in Snell, and this has kind of made him a bit of an outlier. Teams are looking at Blake and saying, hey, he's really inconsistent. One year he's good, and the next year he's very mid. Why pay all this money for a player that has all this risk attached, where there are other pitchers who look really good and they don't have that risk? I personally think that it is wrong. When Snell is at the top of his game, he's proven to be the best pitcher in baseball, and keep in mind that he won the AL Cy Young back in 2018. That season, he had a 189 ERA and 180 innings. For multiple years, he's shown how good that he actually is, and that's what people should be taking into account. But somehow, some way, most teams aren't interested. One team that I thought was going to be really interested was the Seattle Mariners, because looking in at the Mariners rotation, it's really, really good, right? They have all this young pitching, but looking in at their lineup, it's really lacking. So what they should have done is that they should have traded a young pitcher and they should have went ahead and improved the lineup. But we have recent reports saying that they completely denied the Red Sox and that they do not plan on trading any of their young pitching. What this means is that they will not be replacing any young pitcher with Blake Snell, and they will likely not be making any pitching move. So that's another team that is pretty much out of the Blake Snell sweepstakes. But there is one team that we've seen attached to Blake Snell consistently and constantly, and that team is the Giants. I believe that the Giants will be the team that lands Blake Snell. They have their ace in Logan Webb, so Blake Snell would be the 2 spot. That would be perfect. I mean, the Giants want to win very, very badly. They just haven't done so. Bringing in Snell to be your 2 would cost a lot of money, but it's totally worth it, and he's very good. They're not going to make a trade for pitching, and it's unlikely that they will get Yamamoto or even Jordan Montgomery. So go out and make the move. Bring in Blake Snell. It would be worth it 1000%. But outside of the Giants, he's not generating interest, and this sparks a question. Why is Montgomery getting so much talk around the league, but Blake Snell isn't? Well, Montgomery had a great postseason, so that's probably why. It's a part of the reason until you realize how good of a pitcher that Blake Snell is as well in the postseason. Yeah, he might not have got to pitch last year in the playoffs, but he did get to pitch in the playoffs with the Rays a lot, and he was unbelievable. The Rays were close to winning it all, and Blake Snell was the main man responsible. So if that's not a reason, then what is it? It is money. Money is what Blake Snell is asking for. His season was great, and he knows that. Why not try to get every dollar that you can? Well, teams are seeing that and they're like, hey, well, Montgomery's a bit cheaper. Let's roll with him instead. Or, hey, why not go with the cost-effective option and go with Yoshinobu Yamamoto? That's what teams are saying to themselves right now. And the biggest thing is that he's, of course, a Scott Boras client. Scott Boras is known for getting the biggest free agent salaries for every single player who is a client of his. So being a Scott Boras client, that is exactly why he has no market. Teams don't want to work with him because they know that they will be getting robbed of a lot of money. And that's exactly what teams are trying to avoid. One thing that I will say has been really good for Blake Snell is that Shohei Ohtani just got signed. Ohtani signing is good for really every single pitcher. He drives up the market value for every starting pitcher. And I do think that Blake Snell was really waiting on Shohei Ohtani to sign to go ahead and get that market set. And not just Ohtani, but I think he's waiting on other big starting pitchers to get their market set, because whenever you start to see what they're getting, then you could kind of mix it all together and see what Blake Snell's going to be getting. He wants to get tip-top value, and I think that's why he's totally fine just having total patience and not meeting with teams, and I could respect that. Snell is going to be getting paid anywhere from $26 to $30 million. It's going to be a lot of money. As we know, no one wants him right now. They want everyone else, and because they want everyone else, they're going to have to cater to Blake Snell, because whenever they inevitably do not get Jordan Montgomery, or they do not get Yamamoto, who else are they going to sign? They're going to sign Blake Snell if they want an ace. And I think that a team like the Phillies are going to be all over this. You got to remember, the Phillies just had a meeting with Yamamoto, and I guarantee you that this means they are willing to go and spend even more money. And whenever they do not get Yamamoto, they're going to be like, hey, Blake, you want to come over here? The Mets are going to see that. They're going to be like, hey, well, we didn't get Yamamoto either. We want him. So then it just kind of turns into a little bit of a, I guess, bidding war, and Blake Snell can just say, hey, yeah, well, I want 30 million. No, I want 31. And it just keeps going up and up and up. So a smart business move on his end. But again, inevitably, I do expect him to become a San Francisco Giant. But you got to remember, the Giants want to absolutely destroy LA. They see that LA is making every single big move possible, and they see that LA is going to be getting a lot of top talent. So what they're saying is, hey, we want to go ahead and bring in a Dodgers killer. Keep in mind, Blake Snell has owned the Dodgers throughout his career. He has a 13-2 record and a 2.59 ERA going up against the Dodgers. It won't get much better than that, and that is the way that you defeat the Dodgers. Go and bring in their kryptonite. Let me know what you guys think. Where will Blake Snell wind up, and why is this happening? Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already, and peace out.